You might think a dime is just 10 cents, but some Roosevelt dimes are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Hidden mint errors, rare dates, and silver versions make certain dimes incredibly valuable. In this video, I'll show you which ones to look for. So before you spend your change, check your coins. One of them could be worth a fortune. In the fascinating world of rare coins, sometimes the smallest pieces of metal hold the biggest surprises. One such remarkable treasure is the 1972 U.S. Roosevelt $1 coin with minting errors that have turned ordinary pocket change into a collector's dream. At first glance, it might look like just another 10-cent coin, something most people wouldn't think twice about. But beneath that simple silver-colored surface lies a hidden story of history, craftsmanship, and incredible value. Some of these rare 1972 Roosevelt dimes with unique minting errors have sold for prices ranging from $58,500 to $138,550. Depending on the rarity, type of error, and condition of the coin. To understand why this particular dime has captured so much attention among collectors, we need to go back to the early 1970s, a time of change and innovation in American coinage. The Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946, was designed to honor the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left an enduring mark on the nation. The design was created by John R. Sinek, featuring Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, while the reverse displays a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. BY 1972. The dime had already transitioned from being made of 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition due to rising silver prices in the 1960s. This change made the coins cheaper to produce, but it also introduced a new range of challenges in the minting process. As a result, some of the 1972 Roosevelt dimes ended up with fascinating mint errors, the kind that transform a common coin into something extraordinary. Among the most famous errors from that year are the double die varieties. These coins display clear doubling on certain parts of the design, especially on the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date 1972. Under magnification, the letters appear shadowed or slightly offset, a result of a misalignment between the working die and the hub during the minting process. Collectors prize these coins not only for their visual uniqueness but also for their rarity. A pristine 1972 double die Roosevelt dime, verified and graded by professional organizations like PCGS or NGC, has fetched prices upwards of $58,500 and, in some cases, over $138,550, when found in top condition with strong doubling and original luster. Another intriguing variety from 1972 involves off-center strikes. In these cases, the coin's design was stamped slightly outside of its proper position, resulting in parts of the image being missing or incomplete. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. For example, a dime struck 50% off-center with a fully visible date can bring thousands of dollars at auction. Imagine finding such a coin in your loose change, a small imperfection worth a life-changing sum. Then there are the rare wrong planchet errors, where the dime design was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination. There have been reports of 1972 Roosevelt dimes minted on penny planchets or even foreign coin blanks. These anomalies are incredibly rare, and when authenticated, they can reach astonishing prices. A dime struck on the wrong metal composition or with the wrong weight could easily fall within that $58,500 to $138,550 range, especially if the mistake is dramatic and the coin remains in mint state condition. Collectors also seek out clipped planchet errors from the 1972 series. This occurs when the metal sheet from which coin blanks are cut overlaps during punching, resulting in a dime with a crescent-shaped clip missing from the edge. The coin still bears its full design but with a visible, cleanly cut gap. These coins are rare and visually striking. A perfect example of how an accident at the mint can create something both flawed and beautiful. One of the reasons these error coins are so desirable is that they tell a story about the minting process itself. They are physical evidence of how complex and precise coin production really is. Each coin goes through multiple steps, from blank cutting to annealing, striking, and inspection. Even the smallest variation in pressure, alignment, or temperature can produce unexpected results. While most error coins are caught and destroyed, A few slip through the cracks and make their way into circulation. Those few survivors become treasures for collectors and numismatists who appreciate both their rarity and their historical significance. The Roosevelt Dime of 1972 is especially interesting because it bridges two eras of U.S. coinage, the fading memory of silver coins and the new age of clad coinage. Many collectors see these error dimes as a reminder of that transition, a symbol of imperfection born during a time of technological adaptation. And for coin hunters today, the thrill of discovering one in a collection or old jar of change is unmatched. Imagine this scenario. You're sorting through a pile of old coins, perhaps something passed down from a family member, and you notice a 1972 dime that looks just a little different. The lettering seems thicker, the edge slightly off, or the shine unusual. You take a closer look, maybe even pull out a magnifying glass, and there it is, the subtle doubling on the date or a misaligned strike. In that moment, you could be holding a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. What most people would see as 10 cents could, in reality, be worth $58,500 to $138,550 or more. Collectors love these discoveries because they connect the everyday world with hidden history. Each rare dime found in a drawer or coin roll tells a story of chance and patience. It's that element of surprise that makes the hobby so rewarding. You don't need to be a professional dealer or an expert to stumble upon something extraordinary. Just a sharp eye and a bit of curiosity to eye in the marketplace. The value of these 1972 Roosevelt dimes with errors depends on several factors: the visibility of the error, the coin's condition, and its rarity. Coins graded mint state by professional services often command the highest prices, especially when accompanied by clear documentation and certification. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for authenticity and quality, especially when it comes to dramatic minting mistakes that are visually impressive and well-preserved. Over the years, coin auctions across the United States have featured these fascinating 1972 error dimes, often drawing intense competition among bidders. Some sales have even made headlines, not just for the amounts paid but for the stories behind how the coins were found. Tucked away in jars, inherited from relatives, or discovered by chance during casual coin searches. It's proof that valuable treasures can still hide in plain sight. What makes these coins even more special is that they're part of the Roosevelt Dime legacy, one of the longest-running series in U.S. coin history. Since its debut, the dime has been a symbol of resilience and leadership, carrying Roosevelt's image as a tribute to his fight against polio and his leadership during some of America's most challenging times. Owning a 1972 Roosevelt dime with a rare minting error is like holding a piece of that history, a blend of artistry, innovation, and the occasional beautiful mistake. For many collectors, finding one of these error coins is not just about profit. It's about the thrill of discovery and the connection to a time when every coin carried a little bit of the nation's story. Each mark, each imperfection, tells a tale of human craftsmanship, mechanical precision, and the rare moments when both collide in the most unexpected ways. So, the next time you come across an old dime, take a moment to look closely. Examine the lettering, the date, the rim. Is everything perfectly aligned? Does something look just a little different? Because that slight difference, that small, almost invisible flaw, could be your key to uncovering a treasure worth thousands. You might just find that your 10-cent coin is actually a rare 1972 Roosevelt dime with an extraordinary error, carrying a value between $58,500 and $138,550. In the end, it's a reminder that greatness often hides in the smallest things. What seems ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary, and what we overlook every day might hold more worth than we can imagine. The 1972 Roosevelt dime is proof that even the tiniest piece of change can tell a story of history, mystery, and unimaginable value, if you only take the time to look. The 1980 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that people often overlook. It's small, light, and so common that most of us have handled dozens of them without a second thought. Yet, hidden among the ordinary dimes from that year are a few that are anything but ordinary. These rare 1980 Roosevelt dime error coins have caught the attention of collectors around the world, turning what was meant to be a simple 10-cent coin into a treasure worth an astonishing amount of money. Some of these coins have been sold for prices ranging from $50,350 to $129,800, depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin. It's incredible to think that a tiny dime, a coin most people ignore, could be worth more than a luxury car. To understand how such a small piece of metal can become so valuable, you need to know a bit about the history of the Roosevelt dime. It was first introduced in 1946, designed by John R. Cynic to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. The coin features Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse side, facing left, with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. The reverse side shows a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, representing freedom, peace, and strength. It's a design that has remained mostly unchanged for decades, but sometimes, even the most consistent systems produce rare and beautiful mistakes. In 1980, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes across its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But somewhere in that massive production, a few errors slipped through, errors that would later become the stuff of legend in the coin-collecting community. The most famous of these are the 1980 No-S mint-mark dimes and the 1980 double die errors. The No-S error dimes are particularly special because they were produced at the San Francisco Mint, which primarily struck proof coins intended for collectors. Proof coins are made with extra care, featuring mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. However, in 1980, some of the proof dimes were mistakenly struck without the S mint mark that identifies them as being from San Francisco. These coins, missing that tiny but crucial letter, were packaged into proof sets and sold to collectors before anyone realized the error. Only a small number of these No-S dimes are known to exist, making them incredibly rare and valuable. For the double die variety, the error happens earlier in the production process when the coin die, the metal stamp used to impress the design, receives a double image during its creation. The result is that the coin appears to have slightly doubled lettering or design elements. On the 1980 Roosevelt dime, this doubling can often be seen on the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, or on Roosevelt's eye and facial features. To most people, it might look like a slight blur or shadow, but for experienced collectors, that subtle doubling is a sign of something extraordinary. The fact that such small details can determine whether a coin is worth 10 cents or over $100,000 is what makes numismatics, the study and collection of coins, so fascinating. Every little imperfection tells a story about how the coin was made, and in some cases, how human oversight or machine misalignment can turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. The 1980 No-S proof dime is one of the most famous modern minting errors in U.S. history. Proof coins go through a meticulous inspection process, which makes the existence of an error even more intriguing. Experts believe that the missing mint mark was caused by a simple mistake. A die that had not yet been punched with the S mark was accidentally used to strike a batch of proof dimes. Because these dies are normally destroyed after use, it's astonishing that any coins with the error survived at all. Once collectors discovered the mistake, the hunt was on, and prices skyrocketed as proof sets containing the rare 1980 No-S dime were found and sold for incredible sums. Meanwhile, the 1980 double die dime represents the kind of minting error that captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. Unlike proof coins, these were circulated, meaning they could still be hiding in drawers, piggy banks, or old coin rolls. That sense of mystery, knowing there might be a valuable treasure mixed in with everyday change, is what keeps coin enthusiasts searching. Every new discovery reignites excitement across the community, reminding everyone that history can still be found in the palm of your hand. Condition plays a huge role in determining the value of these coins. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assess each coin on a 70-point scale, taking into account details like luster, sharpness, and wear. A circulated 1980 error dime might fetch a few hundred or a few $1,000s, but one that's uncirculated and in pristine condition can soar well beyond $50,350 to $129,800. A perfect proof coin with no mint mark and flawless surfaces can easily attract fierce bidding wars at major auctions. It's remarkable how something so tiny can carry such immense value. Collectors see these coins not just as currency, but as tangible artifacts of American history. Each one tells a story of craftsmanship, oversight, and the human element behind the minting process. The Roosevelt dime itself is a symbol of strength and leadership, honoring a president who guided the nation through some of its toughest times. The 1980 error versions take that legacy and add another layer of intrigue, a mystery born from imperfection. Over the years, these rare dimes have appeared in coin shows, auctions, and private collections, often commanding incredible attention. When one of these rare 1980 no-S proof dimes surfaces, it becomes the centerpiece of any event. Collectors and dealers alike marvel at how such a small oversight during production could result in a coin valued in the six-figure range. Every known example has been documented, studied, and admired, adding to its mythos. For those who enjoy the thrill of the hunt, the 1980 Roosevelt Dime era represents a perfect challenge. There's always the possibility that one might still be out there, hidden in an old proof set or passed down through generations without anyone realizing its worth. The discovery of such a coin is not only financially rewarding but emotionally thrilling, a reminder that rare treasures still exist in the most unexpected places. Even today, new collectors continue to learn about the 1980-era dimes through online communities, videos, and forums dedicated to coin hunting. Stories of people finding valuable era coins in their collections fuel the passion of a new generation of hobbyists. It's this mix of history, art, and luck that makes coin collecting so endlessly appealing. Every coin holds potential, and every discovery tells a story that connects the present to the past. If you ever come across a 1980 dime, take a moment to look closely. Check for the presence of the S mint mark if it's a proof coin. Examine the inscriptions for any signs of doubling or misalignment. A small difference can mean a massive change in value. What appears to be just another 10-cent coin could actually be one of the rarest pieces of modern U.S. currency. The beauty of the 1980 Roosevelt Dime era coins lies in their subtlety. They are unassuming, easy to overlook, yet powerful in their rarity. They remind us that perfection is not always what defines value. Sometimes, it's the imperfections that make something truly priceless. The missing mint mark or the doubled lettering turns an ordinary dime into a piece of history, a snapshot of the moment when human craftsmanship intersected with mechanical error. So the next time you're sorting through your change, pause for a second before tossing that dime aside. Look at it carefully. Study the tiny details that most people ignore, because that little silver coin in your hand could be worth far more than you ever imagined. It might be one of the elusive 1980 Roosevelt Dime era coins, a small but mighty treasure with a value between $50,350 and $129,800, waiting to be discovered. Sometimes the most valuable things come in the smallest packages, and in the world of coins, a single dime can hold the story of a lifetime. The 1995 U.S. Roosevelt Dime may look like just another small piece of change, easily overlooked in your pocket or at the bottom of a cash drawer. But hidden among the millions produced that year are rare and extraordinary era coins that have stunned collectors and sold for astonishing prices. To most people, it's a simple 10-cent coin, light and ordinary, but to numismatic experts, a single 1995 dime with a specific minting flaw can be worth anywhere between $44,220 and $122,500, depending on its condition, rarity, and the type of error it carries. That's the magic of coin collecting, finding something priceless hiding in plain sight. The Roosevelt Dime was first introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II earned him immense respect and a lasting place in American history. The design, created by John R. Sinek, features Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. For decades, it has been one of the most familiar coins in American pockets. But even within such a common design, certain minting errors have turned ordinary dimes into treasures worth more than most people would believe. In 1995, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes. With such a high output, even the smallest mechanical error could lead to rare variations that collectors now hunt for relentlessly. Minting errors are accidents that happen during production. Moments when machinery misaligns, dies crack, or a blank metal planchet is struck incorrectly. Each of these mistakes creates a unique coin that's unlike any other, a piece of history that escaped the strict quality controls of the U.S. Mint. Among the most famous 1995 Roosevelt Dime errors are the double die strikes. These are coins that show a doubling effect, often on the inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 1995. When the die used to strike, the design shifts slightly between strikes, it leaves behind a second impression that gives the letters and numbers a shadowed or duplicated appearance. For collectors, that doubling isn't a flaw, it's a miracle of minting that can send the coin's value soaring. Another fascinating error from that year involves off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned during production, leaving part of the image missing and a blank crescent of metal visible along the edge. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, the coin can range from mildly interesting to extremely valuable. A 1995 dime with a dramatic off-center error that still shows the date and main features intact could easily reach the higher end of the value range, pushing toward $122,500 if in pristine condition. There are also broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally holds it in place. This causes the metal to spread outward, making the dime look slightly larger than normal and giving it a smooth, flat edge. Then there are wrong planchet errors, which occur when a dime is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination, such as a penny or a foreign coin. These are exceptionally rare and instantly recognizable due to their unusual color, size, or weight. Imagine flipping through a handful of spare change and spotting something strange. A dime that looks slightly off, maybe the letters look doubled or the rim appears uneven. You look closer, and your heart starts to race. You might be holding a 1995 Roosevelt Dime error, one of those rare and valuable pieces that can transform a 10-cent coin into a 5-figure payday. Stories of collectors and even ordinary people finding such coins in circulation are not uncommon. It's that sense of discovery, that idea that a small piece of change could hold a hidden fortune, that keeps collectors searching tirelessly. Condition plays a huge role in determining how much these error coins are worth. A coin that's been in circulation, showing scratches or wear, will always be worth less than one that's been preserved in near-perfect condition. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC evaluate coins on a precise scale, with top-grade specimens labeled as mint state. A 1995 dime with a clear and dramatic mint error in mint state condition can easily reach tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even crossing that incredible $122,500 mark when the error is exceptional and the coin's luster is intact. The beauty of these error coins lies not only in their rarity but also in their uniqueness. No two mint errors are exactly the same. Each tells its own story of imperfection, a reminder that even in a highly automated and precise process like coin production, surprises still happen. Every error coin represents a moment of human or mechanical unpredictability frozen in metal, a rare and tangible piece of history that slipped through unnoticed until someone discovered it years later. For collectors, the 1995 Roosevelt Dime is particularly special because it comes from a period when major errors were becoming less common. By the 1990s, the U.S. Mint had refined its production techniques to reduce mistakes. This means that any surviving error coins from this era are far scarcer than those from earlier decades, which makes them even more desirable. When an error coin from the 1990s does appear, especially one in top condition, it instantly draws attention and competitive bidding from collectors worldwide. The types of errors that make the 1995 dime valuable are easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. Doubling on the lettering, uneven rims, incomplete edges, or strange surface textures are all clues. Sometimes the difference is so subtle that you'd never notice it without magnification, yet those small differences are what make these coins worth more than some luxury cars. Collectors spend years training their eyes to recognize the telltale signs of a genuine mint error, and once they find one, it becomes a prized possession in any collection. The excitement surrounding these coins has even led some people to start searching their pocket change or buying rolls of dimes from banks in hopes of discovering a valuable error. It might sound like a long shot, but that's part of the fun. Every coin you examine could be the one that changes your life. There's always the chance that hidden among the ordinary dimes is a 1995 error coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. Beyond the monetary value, these coins carry historical and emotional worth. Each Roosevelt dime represents a piece of American history, a small tribute to a president whose leadership helped shape the modern nation. When combined with the rarity of an error, that historical connection becomes even more powerful. It turns a dime into a story, one that collectors proudly share, not just because of its price, but because of its journey from a minting mistake to a legendary collectible. It's hard to imagine that a simple dime, something so small and ordinary, could ever command a value as high as $44,220 to $122,500, yet that's the reality of the 1995 Roosevelt dime errors. It's proof that in the world of numismatics, perfection isn't what makes something valuable, imperfection is. These coins remind us that even in a world built on precision and consistency, there's beauty and worth in the rare moments when things don't go exactly as planned. If you ever come across a 1995 dime, take a moment to look closely. Hold it under a good light, examine the edges, and look at the details. Are the letters perfectly aligned? Does the surface look normal? Or is there a shadow of doubling? Is the coin perfectly round? Or is part of the design missing? Those small imperfections might just be the clues that reveal you're holding something extraordinary. Collectors say that the thrill of finding an error coin is unlike anything else. It's a mix of luck, knowledge, and patience coming together in one unforgettable moment. The 1995 Roosevelt Dime embodies that excitement perfectly. It's a modern coin, one that almost everyone has handled at some point, yet only a few will ever realize they're looking at a potential treasure. So the next time you get a dime in your change, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Give it a closer look. Because one day you might find yourself staring at a piece of history, a tiny, shiny reminder that even in the most ordinary things, there can be extraordinary value. And if that dime happens to be one of the rare 1995 Roosevelt era coins, it could be worth far more than you ever imagined, maybe even up to $122,500, proving once again that sometimes fortune hides in the smallest places.